Well, hello. Welcome to the Make It Count podcast, which is live. No filtering, no editing. Why? Because people are authentic and we want to be too. Today's guest is someone who isn't waiting for permission or policy to solve the housing crisis. He's out there building solutions and redefining what's possible in affordable, dignified, and sustainable housing. Dustin Geroski is a real estate operator, developer, and the host of Cash Flow Chronicles, a podcast that teaches people how to build real wealth through real estate. He started by acquiring and reimagining existing properties, and now he's expanding into ground-up co-living developments designed with intention, efficiency, and long-term impact in mind. What stands out about Dustin is simple. He builds with purpose. He thinks long-term, and he creates housing that actually works for the people who need it and the investors who believe in it. So, Dustin, welcome to the stage.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course. Now, in the scheme of trying to support people around whether it's real estate, whether it's building the life they want and not losing who they are, I'm going to ask you an interesting question. When you look back at the very beginning, that moment when you realized, okay, I have to start building something different than the life I'm living right now.
So that moment, I'd say I'm 33.
Mm-hmm.
I did go to undergrad, finished grad school. I've had 1 year of employment with a 9-to-5. So since 18, I've pretty much always been entrepreneurial, even at age 8, mowing lawns, like that kind of stuff. But I'd say, in my 20s, mid 20s, early 20s, actually, I did 2 trimesters of chiropractic school. So I was on the track for, that 9-to-5 life. And I did well. I liked it. We're dissecting cadavers, like all this interesting stuff. But then there was a mentor of mine that his son-in-law was a chiropractor, and he's like, don't do it. So then he takes me and like shows the office, and he tells me about like his son-in-law's life, all this stuff, how stressful he's working, 60 hours a week. He's like, this is great. Don't get me wrong. It helps people. But then he's like, you want to own this business, though. You don't want to be the employee, because that's what he did. He owned several businesses. And it really threw me off. I was age 23. I had already done there's 10 trimesters. I already did the first 2, and they're the hardest. And I was about to start the third. And so anyway, it was truly age 23 where I was like, all right, I just can't be a 9-to-5. Like, I don't like trusting, like needing someone else to perform for me to be successful, like any of that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I pivoted then.
Yeah. At 23. Now you also have a master's degree in finance. Was that in conjunction with going to chiropractic school?
After.
Okay. So 23, you decide, I don't want to be a chiropractic. You then go back to get your finance degree.
Yeah. So during chiropractic, that's a lot of credits. Each trimester, 25, 26 credit hours. So when I had finished that second one, I had more than enough to have a bachelor's degree. I should have had it, but they wouldn't give it to me, basically. And it would have been like a Bachelor of Science. And so I had to do a couple more classes and to finish the bachelor's. And I actually did that in Hawaii. Another big pivot. I was in chiropractic school in St. Louis, Missouri. But yeah, essentially, I finished the bachelor's with supply chain management.
Okay.
And then fast forward a little bit, I had met my wife while in Hawaii. Then during COVID, though, the whole island starts shutting down. And we're like, well, we both, I used to live in Florida. My dad's from Florida. She's from Florida. And so during COVID 2020, we came back here. And we moved down to Miami and both got our master's degrees. And so, yeah, mine's a finance MBA. And then hers is real long. I don't even know how to explain it, but it's European related, like different cultures, religions, stuff like that.
Okay. Well, I know everyone's interested in the real estate and what you're doing there. So we're going to bounce around a little bit. Tell us a little bit about when you started in real estate, what took you to real estate. Let's start there.
So I had studied the supply chain route and then finance like very thoroughly. As an analyst, I did consulting with portfolios. And a lot of the rules in business, they apply in different industries, sectors. And once I had studied the stock market very closely for 10 years, for mentors, and all those rules applied to real estate, but it was 10 times better. Like
Yeah.
the leverage, the cash flow. It's like if you park 100 grand in a stock, it's like, all right, you need it to go up. You might get a little dividends. But real estate, I was like, whoa, there's significant difference in what like 10 years down the line that turnout is. So that's what caught my eye is I studied one part of finance and then I saw the much better opportunity in real estate.
Now, how many years have you been focused in real estate specifically?
Almost 3.5 now.
Okay. Well, in three and a
Sub
half, you've
two,
come
three.
I was about to say, you've come a long way. So tell everyone a little bit about when you first got in, maybe some challenges you had that looking back, you might do a little differently for people trying to get into real estate.
Yeah. So this is just my personality type. I'm not saying everyone should do this, but I'm a very like all or none person. I can't just kind of do anything. Like even caffeine, I cut caffeine entirely. So when I jumped into real estate, it was head first.
Okay.
We also, yeah, we had a newborn on the way as well. So that's just, so what I did was first I started studying wholesale, like pretty common, but my intent right off the bat was always buy and hold. And so simultaneously, I, you know, I joined sub two and I, went through all that material as fast as I could and made it the priority to buy. And then as a result, there were deals, like solid deals, but didn't fit our buy box perfectly, my business partner and I. And then I just wholesaled them casually and then it snowballed. So I think that helped a lot. My intent always being buy and hold. And then it helped just keep a path that like compounds. Because
Sure.
if it's always wholesale from the beginning, it's like it doesn't really fix the root problem. Like you're not building long-term wealth or cash flow or anything like that.
Yeah, that's what Pace likes to call today money, right? If you wholesale, that's today money. If you're buying and holding, you're building out your portfolio, you're building long-term wealth and
Yeah.
assets. Now, you mentioned it snowballed. Tell us a little bit about what you mean by that.
Yeah. So, the first 3 months in sub two, I'm just every day, 8, 9, 10 hours a day. That's all I'm doing, whether it's learning, networking, applying or trying to apply, like talking to agents, sellers. And so month 4, though, we find a property that we like. Simultaneously, though, we found one that was really close to what we wanted, but didn't. And it turns out I knew the seller indirectly. We had the same friend. And basically that turned into like a handshake wholesale deal. And
Nice.
I was like, I can find a buyer. And yeah, he paid me, just ACH like a week or two after close. Straight up handshake deal, no contracts, nothing to enforce it. And then the same week, though, I had bought my first property. I didn't even live in something yet. I was still renting, but I bought a rental before that. And so that was all in the first week, and it really opened my eyes substantially. And I was like, well, I could get paid for just connecting that guy to this guy. And then I was like, all right. And then that property we bought, it cash flowed a little bit. It's near Disney in Orlando. And that just kind of threw fuel on the fire.
So what moved you to co-living? Tell us, well, one, we're going to need to tell everyone what co-living is, right? And ultimately, I find people can find that confusing if they're not in real estate. And then
No.
two, what moved you to co-living?
Yeah, so co-living is simply you rent by the room. It is a broad umbrella term. Co-living, there's different types. That's where like pad split falls under it. There's like assisted living, sober living. These are all under the umbrella of co-living. What caught my eye was a couple months after that first deal or first few deals, someone at a meetup just brought me another deal, and it was like very, very good. It was an outlier. It was in Orlando, and so I showed it to my broker. Like during this time, I also got my real estate license, and he's like, "We're gonna do pad split," and I thought we were gonna just flip it, just fix it, sell it. He's like, "No, we're doing pad split." And back then, I'd never heard of the word pad split, and so he explained it to me, and I was like, "Okay." And it clicked for me because, like during undergrad, I had lived in different rent by the room properties. College student, you're trying to be efficient, and I lived in 5, like St. Louis, Hawaii, actually Japan a little bit, one in the Mediterranean, Cyprus, it's below Turkey and Greece. So I was very, very familiar with rent by the room. I understood the demand. And so I was like, okay, yeah, let's go with it. And so that was the first one, Orlando. And yeah, it was attractive for many, many reasons, the cash flow being the top. So I understood it very clearly, the model. Also understood that it's not a trend. It's like a very high demand, for society, affordable housing.
Right.
And then, yeah, the cash flow is also very attractive to the owner.
When you say the cash flow is really attractive, a lot of people get into real estate the same way you did, buying a rental, right? Whether it's long-term rental, short-term rental, that can vary. Give an example of if you took that one of these houses, maybe even the first one, and you would have done it as a long-term rental with somebody in it for 12 months or longer. How does that compare as far as your cash flow, your take home after bills, compared to a co-living in that same property?
Yeah, so these are average. So this property and in general, I'll typically it like will barely even break even as a regular rental. So like the full mortgage, which includes taxes and insurance, call that $3,000 in Orlando.
Yeah.
And then a regular rental, a 12-month rental, like a family in that same house, it might be $3,000, equal. Just doesn't even, there's no cash flow, let alone pay for or set aside money for like maintenance, reserves, none of that, property management. But then we convert it into rent by the room. And I mean, the actual net cash flow, so there's all the revenue, but then there's fees, utilities, and everything. The average net, true net cash flow that we see is $1,500 per month.
Okay. Well,
So
that's
it's
significant.
noteworthy. Yeah.
And how many rooms on average are you putting into a co-living property?
So our lowest actually is 8.
Okay.
So the highest we have in one property is 10. So that 8 to 10 mark.
Now I know there's also some different styles of co-living, and you are what we kind of consider the co-living king. And I realize you have a team. Did you and Tracy meet when you lived in Hawaii, or is that just happenstance
Just
that
through,
she's in Hawaii and
just coincidence.
that's so
Yeah.
cool? When you think about the properties, there are co-living where they focus specifically on bedrooms only with like a kitchen, a little bit of a common area. But I believe Tracy was sharing you all are actually building out community spaces in them.
So a couple things. She's doing her. She just moved to Hawaii, right? And so, or back to Hawaii. So she's doing her own endeavors in co-living.
Okay.
And then we're doing just what we've been doing. We do the pad split model, which isn't shared space.
Okay.
And I personally lean towards that because I guess a couple reasons, especially in undergrad. Like I would, people fight over the living room. People, it's like, why does Tom get the TV and the couch Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday? Like just that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so I personally didn't go the community route because it's like, there's all these new variables. It's like a higher level of property management that needs to be in place or something. And then B, my goal was scalability. And so like with pad split, you can scale. It's simple. Like in our org chart, like our team, the way we run it is there's pad split who sources the tenants, and they pay a lot on marketing, PPC, all that. And then we also hire a property manager. So, once the people they live in it, then the property manager's running the day-to-day. And then on our team, the next level is an asset manager, who's the point of contact for all the property managers.
Okay.
So there's these 3 filters or layers before it gets to the core team that we have.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we gravitated towards that because it's scalable. Our goal as a team collectively is 250 rooms and about and that's not our own portfolio, like just together.
Right.
250 rooms about 16 months from now is the target. And pad split, we like reverse engineering. Okay, here's all the things that can happen, who we need to hire, and it just, yeah, nice and simple, minimal shared space.
What I love about that, what you're saying. So the first co-living property that you did, right, in Orlando, how long ago was that?
We bought it almost 3 years ago. It's been live 2 years.
And that was a modification, right?
That was a beast of a project. It was a foreclosure. We had to move them out. Well, we had to buy a trailer, rehab the trailer, and then help them move out. And then we had to rehab the whole house. It was like several layers. It was wild.
No doubt. Now, you mentioned wanting to own 250 doors. If you look at whether it's the one that you all do collectively or yourself, what's the door count you're at currently?
Yep. So our team, because at this point I don't buy outside of our team.
Mm-hmm.
That way I can just like focus on my one lane.
Sure.
So our team has 50 total. We're doing actually a capital raise tomorrow for a 20 bed, 20 bath. So that'll put us at 70 when that goes through. On my own, I have 3 co-living property. No, we're converting one. So we have 5 co-living property outside of that team. 2 of them are on pad split. The others, we have just individual property managers, but probably converting those either to pad split or just regular rentals.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we're very dialed in on Houston new construction. Like, I don't know if you know Houston, there's this little loop, the bullseye, the 610.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like laser focused on there.
Inside the 610, I take it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's going to be sort of that uptown, downtown areas. It all fits kind of right there in the 610. Yeah, I've spent a good amount of time down there.
Yeah, the one that we're doing, our race tomorrow, it's the 2020, and it's not quite northwest of in the 610.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember what they called it, but it's definitely like the growing part.
Sure.
It's like smack dab in the middle, and then just a little bit to the west. So it's on the outskirts of that, like, just expanding pocket.
Well, and you said something earlier I don't want to gloss over, because I think it's really important. You talked about having an org chart. Mm-hmm. And you and I originally met in a real estate group that we're part of, right? We met in Owners Club. And whether it's an Owners Club or any of the other real estate communities, the thing that tends to stop people from being able to scale is that they don't put systems and processes in place.
Yeah.
Right? As you look at, and clearly this is your background, numbers are your thing. How did you all decide the system that you laid out, such as your org chart would have you?
Yeah. So if you visualize it with me, at the very top, we have the owner's box, and that there's a couple of us in there. At the moment, there's just 2 of us in there, but we are going to be expanding it to the team. So it's more of like a voting structure. And then below that, we have the visionary, who is actually the guy that got me into real estate. He retired at 31 from real estate. So 3.5 years ago, he's the one that pulled me in. He's like, hey, let's buy more together. So he's the visionary, because that's the more like big picture problem solving. Like, he alone has 50 properties, and then 90% of them are paid off. So like, we're like, all right, if that's our anchor, right? He has the most experience. So then next below him is our integrator, and her name's Emily. I've done a lot of wholesale deals with her, and that's how we just naturally clicked. And so that's how we found her. It's like, hey, Emily, do you want to try one of these deals?
Yeah.
And so then under her, we have different departments. Like I'm capital raising, and then I also do the underwriting. So technically I'm both too. We have marketing, who handles like our CRM, social media, our Facebook group, all that. The third is our operations manager slash TC, which actually is also Emily.
Okay.
And then there's two more. There's our CFO, who's Rhonda, and she's done that for years. And so it just made sense. Like, hey, we have to pay out, quarterly or 60 days on all these properties. Someone needs to watch that like a hawk.
Right.
So that's Rhonda. And then lastly is the property. It's LD again. So the visionary, he's also the project manager because he has done over 50, 60 rehabs. So he's the one that's watching whether it's our new construction or rehabs, all of that. He watches it very closely. And then there's some sub departments below that. Like we have an amazing VA in the Philippines that helps marketing. But yeah, it's mostly, to get to your question, is people I've worked with or known in some capacity for at least a few years.
Yeah.
And so it was like we've already made money together, and it's like, hey, let's check this out.
What's interesting when you said that the visionary retired at 31, I think I've met this visionary. So even though he retired from real estate, does he not do boots on the ground on projects?
Yeah, and it's the phase of life where it's like two things. He really likes it, but the second is we do free office hours and stuff like that, where it's his way of giving back. And like he said, he gets a lot of fulfillment by helping people learn from his own mistakes and just hopefully helping them skip a lot of them.
Why I asked you specifically to join me for literally the first episode of Make It Count podcast is because you are so freaking humble. Right. I think culturally in our community, one of the things that I really love is it's not about what we do, it's about who we are. Right. And if you think about, as humble as you are, what are the things that keep you anchored while you're building something like this? Because this is pretty big.
So in my young 20s, I was actually incredibly arrogant, very arrogant.
I've not met him.
And I just learned it's blinding. Like in certain cultures, religions, you hear it called, it's what's called a pride cycle. Okay. And it's this pattern where you work hard, you get good at something, but then you get really good at it, and then you start, instead of your mission being, okay, I want to help my family, I want to help others, I want to serve others, it's I want to be the best, I want to be better than everyone. And I've seen that pattern in my own life, especially years ago, but then it's everywhere. You see it in a lot of people. And if the mission changes from being like ours is affordable housing, like my current mission is helping our team essentially retire. But if it were to change to it's all about Dustin, I know it would crumble. So if anything, I'm like, I don't want to use the word paranoid, but any time I feel that I'm going towards that cycle of like, all right, it's all about me, then I really try to pull back and like, all right, try to recenter, like who is this helping? Like in our deals, our 2020, we were thinking about all the people that benefit. So obviously 20 tenants, obviously our team, but then it's like, all right, all the contractors families, the subcontractors, the title company, all the people that made the materials. And it's like, when you really think about it, hundreds of people. So basically just staying focused more outward and minimal inward is what I try to do.
What are the things you do outside of real estate that just sort of keep you holistically in the space that you want to be in?
Let's see. I try to keep a good blend of like, try to grow intellectually. Like I love self-development. I think that's massive. It's the cheat code. So I study a lot of different like psychology, just ways to improve. I've done a variety. I love physical activities like sports. Um, I couldn't play today because I got some injuries, but I play basketball in the mornings, like
Okay.
weightlifting. I've done a variety of races. I try to keep a good, well-rounded exposure of life. Like we go to church on Sundays. I have a 3-year-old boy and then a 4-year-old or 4-month-old daughter, so that definitely keeps me busy. And so yeah, try to keep like a good rotation.
Now, let's spend a little time talking about this 2020, and then I certainly want to get back to more about your journey. But it wouldn't be fair for you to have dropped that you have a 2020 that you're looking at
Mhm.
buying, which I've never heard of a 2020.
Yeah.
So share a little bit about what the vision of this property is. And then you said you're doing a raise on it.
Yeah. So in Houston, we already have 3 10-10 projects that are in
Okay.
different stages. Like one is about to go live probably depending on Christmas, maybe right before Christmas, or I'm just gonna say first week of January. And then we have 2 others that we've already bought the land. We just got cleared on the permits a couple weeks ago, and then we're about to close on the hard money and start those up.
Mm-hmm.
And this 2020, it's the cousin of these. It's our same contractors. And what we found was a much larger piece of land, and we're building them side by side.
Mm,
And
okay.
then it looks really cool. It's 3 stories. This is in that north part of Houston. And yeah, we're real excited because it's out of anywhere in the whole country, one of the cons to co-living. I don't know about con, it's changing. Um, a lot of cities, counties, they have restrictions on the number of unrelated people that can live together.
Sure.
It is a lot of these are outdated. Like you'll look at the city laws, and it was like made in the 1800s, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But Houston is the Wild West, and there aren't restrictions on the number of unrelated, and the zoning's a lot more relaxed. So as part of our strategy is just really dialing in that 610 loop.
Mm-hmm.
We'll probably seller finance maybe later 2026, like maybe one a year. Seller finance one to help elevate the comps. And so yeah, two 3-story houses side by side. On the bottom of each one is going to be a full kitchen, and then level 2 kitchenettes, both homes.
Mm-hmm.
Level 3 kitchenettes again. And then on both, there's a laundry room on the bottom, laundry room on the top. And then there's the shared driveway. There's going to be some picnic tables. Like that'll be the extent of our common area.
Sure.
Just some picnic tables. But yeah, we have our race tomorrow, and we have 200 people registered so far to attend it, the Zoom.
Well, and you said it's going to be on fractional. I'm not sure if you have the link, Dustin, if you want to drop it as a comment. So people who are interested in co-living could
Yeah.
take that opportunity to come to your raise tomorrow night.
Yeah. And then the easy way to find it is buydealswithdustin.com.
Oh, there you go. Gotta love things that are catchy, right?
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah, absolutely.
you and I met in Owners Club. For people watching who don't know what that is, this is how I describe it. So I'd love to hear how you describe it. That we're a collective mastermind group that owns businesses together. And that we're looking to scale and really change the way real estate is done. When people ask you about what's Owners Club, how do you respond?
So it's evolved. Like I joined first year. This is my second year in it. And at first it was that very same thing. And then it's grown the more I've been able to view it from different lenses.
Yeah.
So now people ask me why do you pay for Owners Club? Or why do you teach the semesters? And it's really, when you really think about it, I view it as, again, everything you already said.
Mm-hmm.
We own businesses together and with Pace. But it's also the best way I know to get your digital footprint out there. And so we have our pod meetings, and one of the pieces of information I pass on is the number one KPI that you should be watching, you're paying a good chunk for Owners Club, is how many emails are you collecting a day? And then it's all right, well, how do you collect emails? Well, you need to create these high quality freebies basically. Like we have an amazing free ebook, free
Right.
calculator for co-living, and it's very valuable whoever uses it. And then that's how we collect. Also free office hours. And so to get back at it, the Owners Club is this stage, this platform that allows us to reach a much wider audience than if we weren't in it.
Yeah, I was doing some research on because I have a coaching consulting business, and what I find is people who are working a W-2, let's call it their 9 to 5. If everybody in their inner circle also work 9 to 5, doesn't matter their role, right, within that W-2, the odds of them breaking out of that and becoming an independent entrepreneur or business owner is up to 4%. 4. Now, if you take that person and you drop them in amidst people who have done the things, right? Successful business owners that have scaled, that have done the transformation or never were in it to begin with, it jumps up to 70%.
So the environment, huh? Like the people around.
Yeah. I can't tell you how many people I talk to who say things like, there's no way that's what you all are doing. That's too good to be true. No, you just don't
Yeah.
have that inner circle.
And it's yeah, I love it. Like there's people I've met first year and second year where it really makes you raise your standard, like when you interact with them. Like there's one guy in our community owners club that he makes $50K a month and owns mobile home parks, and he's maybe 2 years older than me.
Yeah.
And like he has an amazing portfolio, and he just built it, I think, not even 4 years ago. Like it's so it's like when I interact with people like that at these owners club retreats, it's, you go back home, you're back, all right, what am I doing? What is the goal again? And I have whiteboards everywhere, and I'm like, right, I need to change that one. Got to up that.
Yeah, it goes to John Maxwell's law of the lid is a lot of what I think about. And law of the lid says that if in any particular environment on a scale of 1 to 10, the top person with the most authority is a 7 in regards to the goals, everybody else cannot exceed 7. Like it's just sort of, it creates a ceiling. And, this isn't a pace pitch, but I think we're all very fortunate to have a visionary who, I mean, you look at what he's done in 15 years.
Yeah.
And if somebody understood that journey without seeing it, they would definitely say that's too good to be true for sure. Now we also have somebody in Owners Club that makes around 50,000 a month and hasn't bought anything. They're doing capital raising, and then they get equity, like they wedge themselves in on deals. There's just a lot of different ways to get into real estate. What made you be the capital raiser for the group, for your team?
I'd say it stemmed from, I was already doing co-living. Like I was in the trenches. And so I got to learn it pretty well. And then living in it, it helped, I guess, understand a lot of those little variables. And then on top of that, I understood the underwriting more. Like I'm the underwriter on the team. So like our pitch decks, any of the numbers, like that's me. And so I naturally, between those two, like living in it, already owning a handful, and then the underwriting, I could speak a lot about what we were doing.
Sure.
So the capital raising, it was just very natural because it was just the business, talking about the business, and then past experiences living in it.
Got it. Now we've talked a lot about the good things going on in real estate, and there's always going to be somebody who's watching who's thinking it's not always good, right? Social media always shows the highlight reel for the most part of good things. So when you look at your journey, what was a challenge, or I'm going to say mistake, right? Even though it's something that we move forward from, that looking back actually maybe became a positive for you?
I'd say, let me think a second. I remember when I first joined Owners Club, I partnered with a guy on a property where I found the deal. And then I assumed the roles, we didn't outline the roles very well, and it just basically ended up me pulling a lot of the weight. And then I also didn't raise enough of the like reserves capital. So it's just a big headache basically. Figured it out the hard way. Everything's fine. But the way it influenced now, like our raises and the way like our org chart hyper dialed in, all the rules and then I guess abilities of not just our team but the capital partners, like on our fractional raises. That's all spelled out very, very clearly in the operating agreement. The other part is like in the underwriting, because of those early experiences, like not being liquid enough to absorb things and having to come out of pocket.
Right.
Now it's like on our 2020, I have 60,000 in reserves, like front loaded. And so it's like the ARV is about 1.2, 1.3 million. And so we have 60K of just anything can happen money.
Yeah.
And then on top of it, the way I calculate the DSCR ratio, like when we refi, I build another safety net. And instead of like, you'll hear lenders say, oh, I can give you 80%. You pull all this money out. Like I just put the assumption that we're doing like 65% LTV.
Sure.
And then I build in other little safety nets and all the underwriting as well. But yeah, those early experiences though were the fuel, the catalyst, the pressure that has helped tremendously now.
Well, and you said you all didn't clearly define the roles, right?
The honeymoon phase, excited, nothing will go wrong, right?
And a lot of people get started with their friends or family. And that's really important that you lay out worst case scenario from the very beginning, just thinking through. You're not the only one to do that, by the way. I think by nature, right? When you have a trusting spirit, we think, oh, we don't need to do that, but it keeps the relationship clean.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So now that operating agreement it's clear.
Now this is going to be more for about you. When the time comes that you've done what you want to do in real estate and your kids or grandkids, maybe they came back and watched this exact interview. What is it that you'd want them to walk away with clearly?
I would say imperfect, consistent action is 100 times better than waiting for everything to be perfect and then acting. So like Dan Martell, I think he says like if you're operating at 80% and you're not trying to make everything perfect before you do something, I'd want to pass that along where it's like, hey, mistakes are going to happen. It's impossible for things not to go wrong, but it's like, as long as you're moving forward, progressing and taking consistent daily action, that's the true secret sauce, whatever it is, whether it's real estate or anything.
Well, and that's such great parenting advice too, right? I mean, you think about the pressures as parents sometimes we can put on our kids, make perfect grades, do all these things. That makes it difficult for them to accept I should make mistakes, because if I'm not making mistakes, I'm actually not growing.
Yeah, it's like a signal, right? Like if you're not making mistakes, it's like, are you really even doing anything?
Right. Agreed. All right. Last question, and then we'll start to wrap up. What's something you believed 5 years ago that you absolutely do not believe anymore? Some sort of a belief that you have since proven to be false.
5 years ago, I thought I had to have my own money to buy real estate. Now it's the 180. It's not only is it, use other people's money to buy real estate. Now it's like I get paid to buy real estate. And so 5 years ago, I had no idea about that at all. Like on ours, it's an acquisition fee. Like it helps our team, and it's completely normal. Like on legit operating teams where, 2, 3, 4, even 5%, all depends on the deal, right? But that was a complete paradigm shift. Like, okay, getting paid to buy real estate with, raising capital.
Well, and you're giving people, when we talk about raising capital with fractional, they don't have to be accredited investors. So the way, this is my opinion, I'm going to leave with that. The way it's designed in our country is only the wealthy are believed to be the ones who can invest in real estate. That's why they put all of the securities and the regulations around it. And they have to have X amount of, net worth already. And fractional has really allowed people to get involved in real estate. It's not just for the wealthy. What's going to be the minimum amount that you're wanting on this 20 bedroom, 20 bathroom that you all are building?
Yeah. So the minimum is 10K per investor. And then we're raising 550K. And then we have some cool perks for like the first people that, bring in 20, like we're going to fly them out to Houston with us, do a big portfolio tour.
Yeah.
Some unique stuff like that. But yeah, 10K minimum, 550 total.
And that's crazy, right? So they can actually be co-owners, if you will. Are you doing that? Are they becoming co-owners or?
Yeah. We're purposely putting them in the operating agreement for, it's safer for them. But what's really cool is this helps them qualify, builds their resume for their own new construction loans down the road.
Sure.
Because that's the hardest part to get a new construction loan is you need experience, but it's like, well, how do you get experience? Right. And so this is like a cheat code in a sense of they are on the HUD and it knocks one of those boxes for them.
That is so great. Dustin, I really appreciate you taking the time. If there's anything we've got a mix of people who are in real estate and ones that aren't in real estate. So it's a wide band of people. What do you want to leave them with specifically in regards to, because you've been building wealth, you mentioned how much the one person's making. Well, you're not far off that either. You just do it in different spurts versus it being every month, right? Because you have to build and then. Yeah,
I would say just whether it's on like your Google Calendar or whatever, 30 minutes a day, like no distraction, set a timer, whether it's real estate, whether it's exercise, reading, whatever, 30 minutes a day. And you do that for like 3 months, you're going to be in that like top 10% of whatever that subject is. Exercise, different story, but in terms of like learning and skill set building, like you can truly master something a lot faster than people think, just that consistency.
That's great. Dustin, thank you. We appreciate it. We'll check in on comments too, but we'll see you all for the next episode too.
Yeah, thank you for having me.